Let's work. Yo, it's go time, showtime, never backing down time. One shot, yo, make it count, yo. Crunch time, shine time, make this moment my time. Get a grip, yo, ready, set, go. We bring the thunder. Bring the thunder. Let's work. Bring the thunder. Let's go. Bring the thunder. Let's work. Bring the thunder. Let's go. Yeah, it's my time, your time. Step into the spotlight. Get lit, yo. Let yourself go. Our time, high time. Gotta go big time. This is it, yo. Never take no fight time. Grind time. Take it to the street time. Turn the roof off. Get loco. Game time, win time. We gon' bring it home time. No regrets now. Let it all go. We bring the thunder. Bring the thunder. Let's work. Bring the thunder.
Well, good evening and welcome to Mountain Bears. I'm Aeson, of course, with me the cubby with the mostest. How you doing tonight, baby doll?
Oh, doing okay. It's been a long week. You had two wonderful guests this week, wasn't it?
I did. I had two wonderful guests. I had a really good show. You were
and
on
then
the
you've
road.
been on, you've been backhousing stuff, and then I think you were on divination night, and
yeah. And you forget I had class Sunday, and the students highly suspected I had fed you a salad. I hadn't, y'all. He is living in flesh. It is not a deep state video. And of course, this is the end of February, so I'm ramping my stuff up. I've been working all day in my planner. Tomorrow I've got to work all day on the Cups newsletter and the Under the Table and Dreaming magazine. Both of those will have to be coming out here very soon. And then March, we're going to start rocking and rolling, guys. I've got guests booked for every Psychic Coffee Shop all the way through.
Yeah. I'm being evil.
You're always evil.
But so we've got a lot of stuff. Like, you're even double booked.
Yeah, I mean, I'm double.
But that's been happening a lot, though. Like, has everyone just been like, hi?
Well, you got to remember, 2021, there wasn't a lot of books. Now we got to catch up.
Oh, here we go. I think we're back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's back, or I'm back, or one of us are back.
Yeah.
We don't know. Welcome to the fucking internet.
In case anyone missed it. So, yeah. Well, apparently someone saw it. Awesome. I'm going to guess Shannon? No, not Shannon. Shannon always waves. I don't know. Kathy? No, probably Shannon.
They're a Patreon member. That's why they get the benefit.
I know that much. I just always have that moment when I read Facebook user and I'm just like, well, it could be. But hey, Brenda.
Yeah.
Oh, or maybe we have two coffee shop barista break room peoples.
Yeah.
Oh, that could do it. That would do it. I don't know.
I think you've had enough coffee. I think you need sleep after this week you've had.
But I got that. It was sad. I went to bed last night, got up this morning, went out, did my stuff. Hey, Phoenix. And then came home and went to bed again. Because I was just like, nope. I'm ready to punch people. I need sleep.
You don't need to be punching people. You need to go to sleep and relax and enjoy your quietness. And I, said, oh, it's Friday. Oh, shit. We've got 3 days to the end of the month. Not my normal.
Hey, Gwen.
Hello, Lady Gwendolyn. How are you, Princess with Mostest? Hope you're feeling better.
Yes.
So I was like, I'm going to plan her today. I'll probably plan her tomorrow. Well, I got to edit tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
None of it all.
I know, right?
In the midst of all this, we have, possibly World War III starting. We're not exactly sure.
I'm not even going into this fear-mongering of the start of World War III. My God. No, like, here's my thing, though. Everyone has jumped on that World War III bandwagon. I'm like, it's going to be a really disappointing World War III if this is what it is.
Well, true.
Like, that's where I'm at. Like, this is going to be like, the porno equivalent of, like,
Well, they haven't released Trump's tape yet, so we can't evaluate if it's a porno or not.
I'm sorry. I like Russia. I shouldn't say that Russia doesn't scare me, and that's not exactly where I'm at. But I'm just sitting here with, I think even Russia knows Russia's kind of fucked. Like, they can bluff a lot, but I don't
think
people
are even protesting this stuff.
Yeah, like they have, like, they are walking themselves quickly towards deposed ruler status.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think Russia's going to back Russia for very long before Russia gets the fucking clue that they need to get the fuck out of this shit. Like, you don't have it. Like, you ain't got it.
Well, but here's the thing, and this has always been one of the bigger things and what we're hearing a lot of news reports of him already having activists list that he either wants to behead or send to concentration camps. LGBT youth are at risk. Transgender youth are at risk in Ukraine. And then we see bloody Americans replacing their Facebook photo with Putin, changing their header cover to Putin's. So let me explain to you what you're doing there. You're backing a communist.
Well, no, you're backing a dictator. You're backing a dictator. Like, communism, as much as we love to say, like, China, North Korea and Russia are all these, massive communist countries.
Mm-hmm.
They're not. They're dictatorships with a fancy title
to
keep their people quiet.
Right.
Like, they call it communism, and it has some features of communism. It's not really communism. Once you throw capitalism on top of it, it quit being communism. It's hard to have a communist capitalist society.
Right.
Really doesn't, like, these are almost near mutually exclusive ideas.
Right. But what it reminds me of and what it makes me question.
You can't profiteer for communal good.
It doesn't work. Well, it did for Blackbeard, but, secondary. What it causes me to question, though, is this. We both grew up during Cold War times. We did.
Well, I mean, yeah, we were on the tail end.
We were on the tail end. We still knew where the bomb shelters were. We still are trained that Charleston is within blasting zone. All that was taught.
Before y'all did shooting drill, active shooter drills, we did,
bomb
air raid drills.
Yeah.
Shelter in place drills.
Yeah.
Like, it's the same thing. Like, the fact that's the best we've got for an active shooter situation is really fucking depressing, just so y'all know.
Yeah.
Like, we're there. Like,
yeah.
Like, the fact that desk was supposed to stop, like, a nuclear bomb from killing us was bullshit.
Right.
Like, it was just something to do instead of running around crazy.
Uh-huh.
Like, that's it. Like, they weren't really as concerned about us surviving the air raid as they were about, like, not having to manage chaos and pandalarium.
Right.
In the midst of an air raid. Like, crazy kids running around. No, squish a few of them under a desk. Like, I'm sorry, that's all I've got. Granted, now some of the really old desks would potentially have saved your life.
I was about ready to say there.
Like, those old blue wood desks, big metal, chunky, doesn't move that much. Yeah. Well, yeah, the desk made the bodies easier to find. It does. It does. But now some of the old blue desks, the really old metal hardcore desk from, you know, our earlier childhoods, yeah, those things might have protected someone from a little bit of damage. Those newer fucking things with the blue plastic seat and the, you know, press board top and the little fucking fucked up legs that.
Where did you get these weird desks from, honey?
Oh, fuck. That was like, that filled up our high school.
No, our high school had those big freaking student-sized metal desks with wooden chairs that were so fucking uncomfortable.
No. Those would save a life. The crap that they have in schools now, which I've seen, like WVVA runs that all the time. Mm-hmm. They love that little stock video they've got hanging around. Some lovely school B-roll there. Mm-hmm. With it's the fucking desk. It's a press board top, mm-hmm. you know, like desktop. And a little plastic seat, and it like, I don't know, it's all aluminum and mm-hmm. like stupid tubing and like little fucking C-clamps, and it's like, what are you gonna support with that? Like, mm-hmm. you can't sit on the desktop without destroying the desk.
Right.
You think that like the ceiling collapsing on the desk mm-hmm. is gonna, like, it's gonna protect you? No. Like, no. Like, maybe if the sprinkler head falls out of the ceiling, it might. Right. Might. Like, if the two pipes come apart and there's a flood of water, it will divert the water for a few minutes before it soaks it all up. And if that little, you know, sprinkler headpiece comes flying at you, it will prevent you from being damaged by sprinkler head shrapnel. Mm-hmm. Like, that's all it's got. And I don't even certify that to 100 percentile.
Right.
Like, those desks were crap. Like, they bought those, like, it's like the Wish version of a real American student desk. Like, let me tell you, that was some bullshit desk. Like, it's not protecting anyone. Stop a bullet? Are you fucking kidding me? No, it's not going to stop a bullet.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's like one piece of Celotex away from murder.
Yeah, but what surprised me was people's shock at this behavior. I'm like, really? Like, did you sleep through history class, people? We've had American Nazis that backed Nazis during the war. We have had communists that backed communists. Not true communism, just the Russian communist.
Well, it all depends, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because, I mean... Yeah, we kind of had some communist backing, but then we also had some, like, really weird, like, there's a whole Roy Khan biopic that really digs in to, like, the Rosenberg Trial. Because apparently that was a whole sham.
Right.
Like, yeah, he sold secrets, but they weren't, like, destroy the universe secrets. They were like,
right,
maybe no. You know, kind of the difference between, like, your husband is cheating on you level secrets, that's thermonuclear, and your husband is cheating on his diet with, like, one Twinkie every 6 months. Like, like,
well, I also think that's not why it was so much of a big deal out of the Rosenberg trial. I mean,
because they were trying to exploit the Rosenbergs to turn over more people.
Right.
And poor Ida Rosenberg knew nothing. She literally knew nothing.
Yeah, she was.
They used her to try to manipulate him, and lo and behold,
right,
he didn't roll over.
Well, no, he didn't. But there's other news going on, and I want to talk about a lot of the other news because I'm sure you guys are getting the latest from the invasion, which is very aggravating. But I'm going to take a moment here to go over to my pagan soapbox for a minute and remind witches that no, it is not against the rule of three to target his ass. It is not against the rule of three to work against an invading force. We have a large history of doing that. And if you're part of the Pagan Nexus, you saw one post. I've got one for tomorrow that goes even farther back than that. But we got other news.
Oh, what else we got?
Oh, the Supreme Court takes up a clash over Colorado law protecting same-sex marriages. This one will hit your homebody.
Oh, God, no. So the Supreme Court agreed to hear a Christian website designer's appeal, challenging a Colorado law that bars businesses from refusing to serve customers based on their sexual orientation. Oh, for fuck's sake. Please tell me this did not start over a wedding website.
Yes.
Oh, God. Why? So the graphic artist Lori Smith says she wants to expand her business into creating wedding websites promoting her understanding of marriage and post a statement explaining why she will refuse to promote messages contrary to her faith, such as messages that condone violence or promote sexual immorality, abortion, or same-sex marriage. Right, because I know that when I'm creating my wedding website, I'm going to talk really heavily about all that shit I did in college and like that time that I had to go for Plan B. So let's talk about what it really is. Like that's a tack on. Okay, yeah. Can we just because I'm sure that, Keg Stand Kathy over here.
Uh-huh.
That like blew an entire fraternity who's now marrying, the banker who, like, let's not even talk about what he did in a frat or how many and who. Like, we're not there. Like, that's not really, that's not going to come up to your graphic artist.
Right.
What we're really talking about is same-sex marriage with a couple of tack-ons to make it sound more wholesome.
Right.
Like, I'm sorry, is that a common thing? Do most people talk to their wedding support people about all the debased things they have done before they found true love? Like, is that a thing?
No, I've never had a couple do that.
I mean, you know what I mean? Like, what is it? Like, you're trying to decide on floral arrangements and suddenly, she's triggered to remember that time she did a line of coke off some guy's penis? Like, how would that come up? How would that come up? Like, oh. And Natalie's like, sorry, ran off for a second. I think you're safer where you were. Because you just walked back in and now Joe's talking about, like.
Yeah. So, this is again, the far right attempting to, if you substitute that, the Supreme Court takes up a clash over Colorado's law to protect indigenous wedding ceremonies. The Supreme Court clashes over Colorado's law to protection for Jewish weddings.
I'm sorry, Natalie re-entered at penis. I do what I can.
Uh-huh.
Oh, but
yeah. None of that would be the Supreme Court would look and go, so you don't want to serve interracial marriages?
Yeah.
No. So we're going to get to hear this one now. The court.
Okay, seriously, that's a thing.
Yeah.
So my mom and stepdad had to do premarital counseling, and past partner about like past partners and what they did together was on the list of discussion topics. Okay, seriously.
Yeah.
Like, I had a friend of mine lie to her now, to her, I believe now, ex-husband. Like, she made some mistakes, not the least of which was she told this poor man she was a virgin until they got married. She told me that, and I about died. I was like, how did you convincingly tell that one?
Uh-huh.
Like, you have not introduced him to a single person that has known you in the last 6 months or before. How on earth did you convince that damn man?
Mm-hmm.
You did not have more miles than a 78 Chevette.
Garage capped or not.
Not garage capped at all.
It'll be interesting because the court's revisiting the ruling of 7-2 in favor of the Colorado Bakery Masterpiece Cakes, which declined to design a wedding cake for same-sex couples. The court said it's time that Colorado's Civil Rights Division shows clear and impressionable hostility towards the religious beliefs underpinning the baker's decision at that time. So again, we're back to debating, can we get married or not get married?
Well, yeah, fundamental. Well, at least on the Colorado level, and then yeah, it'll probably end up a little more.
Like, can we get past Roe v. Wade and same-sex marriage, and that's part of the culture. People get over it.
Well, and moreover,
yeah,
how, as a graphic designer,
mm-hmm.
does this affect you? How? That's what I want to know, is how?
I don't know. Maybe she'll get tired of using white and black in designs.
I mean, I'm just sitting here trying to figure out.
My bigger question is, when did wedding websites become a thing?
Oh, it's the new invitation.
Oh, really? Just go visit my website?
Yes.
Oh, God.
You can immediately RSVP. Page. Hold on. You can immediately RSVP. You can link out to everything that you need, like all your registries. Mm-hmm. You can, do the whole, like, not just pick one pretty couple photo, but put up the whole fucking album so we all have to relive every fucking disgusting moment of your romance. Mm-hmm. Sorry, I'm just used to those people that have the wedding slideshow from hell.
Uh-huh.
Hour 14 of the wedding slideshow.
So what photos go on our slideshow?
None.
Okay.
Like, I'm sorry, I'm so glad you dislike our video.
Yay!
Irate little boys and girls dislikes our video. How traumatizing.
All right. Well, I tracked my little self over to YouTube.
Yeah. Bye-bye. So yeah, like, we're horribly offended that someone whose screen name is that doesn't like our videos.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. Oh, like, whatever. Dislike all you want. Like, I'm here for that. Just dislike us. It's cool. You don't have to like us. Disliking us is wonderful.
Yes, and you enjoy community guidelines.
Oh, yes, and then the step-by-step blog of what is happening up to and during the wedding. I will say I do appreciate highly motivated people who create content for their website. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say. Appreciate highly motivated. Oh, making me listen to my own echo.
Sorry.
But no, I'm just, no. Yeah, it's a thing now that people are doing. I can't say I dislike it. I can't say I dislike it.
Yeah.
I'm down for it. I can
get
that.
Like, I don't know. There's so much. I want a glorious wedding. Now, granted, I've thought of where to have the wedding at and when to have the wedding and how to do it and have everybody I want there to be there, and it's really simple and easy. Happens in May. I just got to figure out where we can rent horses at, and if you can actually ride a horse or not.
Like, are we talking about the little stable of ponies at like Pipestem?
No.
Like, I did that once. Like,
no,
I can hold on.
Okay.
Looking fearful for my life while, Elbert, or whatever the fuck the damn horse's name. It was not intimidating at all. This was no great and wondrous horse whatsoever. Trots along like I would rather be glue right now. I can do that. I can do that. But no, there's actually a really cool picture of me on a horse as a little kid, but I swear to God, I don't remember that.
Well, again,
I think it was a horse.
You might need riding lessons, to come galloping in.
Oh, God! Apparently, the siren sound sucks while you're driving. Oh, yeah. Well, if we're renting out a dude ranch, can we also have the bachelor party at there? I'm sorry, I'm picturing a whole, scene in my head now. I'm good. Oh, yes. And then there's websites that live cast the service, which is really important right now.
Right.
It was nice during the plague. I get that. But it's also nice if you're doing like destination wedding.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think that should be the A1 thing that people doing destination weddings need to keep in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Is that's just not
right.
Like, you're going to get 20 people max.
Right.
At a destination wedding in which, like, we're talking about international travel, passport required, airplane tickets, a hotel stay.
No, we will have a destination honeymoon. We will not have a destination wedding.
Well, that's supposed to be the idea, but some people want to do it like, let's start at the honeymoon destination and just
don't
go anywhere.
No.
Everyone else can go home.
No.
Like, there's people that do it. I don't get it. But yeah, I think that's a point in which live streaming the ceremony, brilliant.
Yeah.
The sad part are the number of churches now that are easily set up for this. Like, there's an amazing technology side to churches now. It's kind of scary.
Well, I don't know. There's now an amazing side of pagan services that isn't scary.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying the fact that, like, help the poor, visit the sick,
fuck
that. Let's buy more video equipment and set up a website.
Well, again, let's see that happen. That's what the religion says. Sell everything they own and do that. And I've yet to see anyone worth their salt do it. Most of them live in $1 million mansions, don't take care of their kids, and their first wife had sent a damn woman shelter another state away for their protection.
Well, but churches now, what I'm getting at, have like, 60, 70, $80,000 plus setups for recording, streaming, and presenting inside those church buildings. Like, easily. Like, if you're talking about your standard, like, one big congregational hall, with all the pews, one chapel, right. Most of those, like, that's easily can be a $70, $80 or more $1,000 setup.
Right.
Like, but by the time you're talking about internet services and computers and sound equipment and presentation screens and video recording equipment and, sound system mixers and lavalier mics and, like, all of this starts to add up to a point that it's like, this is seriously insane. Like, you have a YouTube studio at your church, which also has a website and broadcasts 3 times a week, at least.
Oh, come on. Well,
and join our mailing list because, God needs to send an update.
I got an update for him. Move out of my living room. What? I done said in 10 years, we'll buy a church. The sanctuary can become my living room. It'll be lovely.
Oh, good grief. So that all of 2 followers can be in there at a time? Like,
no.
Oh, no, we're going to buy a church. Okay, never mind. I'm keeping up. Oh. So, yeah, my grandma rented a horse stable out for my birthday one year. That's why I know they did weddings, too.
Very cool.
Oh, but we're not doing that stupid photo that's black and white, Old West. Like,
no. Think Renaissance Festival pagan wedding.
Can we get Jock the Whipper? Oh, please let me have Jock the Whipper.
You can choose your wedding party as you so choose.
Okay. I'm sorry, that guy is just so cute and funny.
Okay.
Okay, we'll share Jock the Whipper with you later.
Thank you.
You'll enjoy.
This sounds weird. So the Biden is doing a lot of hiring. You take his first new hire, and I'll take his second nominee.
Oh, okay. What? Wait, where? Huh?
You're
all
on
right.
the
So
new
I'm
energy.
taking.
You're
I'm
taking the energy.
All right. Thank you. So, yeah. So President Joe Biden made history last month. That's when Sam Brinton announced the administration had hired them as Deputy Assistant Secretary of Spent Fuel and Waste Disposition in the Office of Nuclear Energy for the Department of Energy. Brenton, like many of the people quoted in this article, uses the pronouns they and them, and may be the first openly gender-fluid person in federal government leadership, as they noted on LinkedIn upon accepting the role. So yeah, and a little more involved than that. So a graduate of MIT with dual master's degrees in nuclear engineering and technology and policy programming, Britain has been unapologetic about their activism as well as their life as a drag performer and as one of the loudest voices fighting to end conversion therapy as the founder of the 50 Bills, 50 States campaign. Despite Brenton's qualifications, conservative outlets have attempted to smear their reputation through a series of campaigns targeting Brenton's personal life, as have some on social media, where the appointment has been called a sign of moral decay.
Really?
So yeah, there's.
Although I have one problem though.
Okay.
And I'm trying to remember which president it was. I think it was Eisenhower too. Yeah, it had to have been Eisenhower, President Eisenhower.
Okay.
The cross-dressing president.
Oh, I was like J. Edgar Hoover. What?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So, and apparently Brenton is also very popular in the puppy. I just lost words. Community. Jesus.
Yeah. So he's not the first. It's J. Edgar Hoover.
Yeah. Well, but I mean, though, then again, there's a lot of things to unpack there.
True.
I don't think J. Edgar Hoover was gender fluid. Okay. I think that would be one, as you have put it before, like that's trying to reinterpret through a lens of modern identities that does not work on the past.
Right. That's why I used the term that he would have used for that time.
I know. I'm just saying. But I also think that non-binary is a very different thing.
Yeah.
It's not just cross-dressing. Like that's not
right. But again, I have to debate the first because I don't think he's the first. I think they are most likely at least the second or third, but the first public.
But
public.
Yeah, which is great.
Yes.
And I mean, I'm sorry, they have the backing.
Right.
Like, hi, those are 2 awesome dual master's degrees.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Very, very awesome.
And, of course, we have a new nominee to the Supreme Court, the first Black female nominee, the Honorable Miss Brown.
Well, Brown Jackson?
Yeah, Brown Jackson. I can't say her first name because I've not heard it pronounced yet.
Oh. I'm having a small moment there myself.
Yeah. So Mrs. Brown Jackson.
I could go a couple of ways.
She's already, currently on the D.C. Federal Appeals Court and has been considered a front runner for the vacant spot. It was announced today. And I think that it's very good. Like, the Supreme Court needs to reflect us, and it doesn't. Now, we are seeing the Republican Reds show that they all have white sheets.
Mm.
Start with Turtle Face and work our way down to Lady J.
Oh my. Oh, I think I've gotten lost in the article here. Sorry, I was trying to find the pronunciation of name.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay, so where are we at?
The related article, Republicans attack Biden's thing.
Okay. Oh, there we are. So, and we are here. Okay, I'm there now.
Awesome. Let us remember.
Pardon?
Let us remember. I was reading a comment.
Which is funny.
Yeah.
We'll get to that.
We'll get to that. But let us remember the rush Conan Amy useless through in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna see this drag.
Mm-hmm.
Like you knew it was gonna.
Well, they ain't got much time because the Supreme Court picks up in May.
Yeah.
So it's a real good time to be watching your representatives, questioning what color sheets they have in their bedroom.
Oh. Yeah, there's a video for the name pronunciation. That's what I kept running into. Is like, could someone give me a standard phonetic?
Right.
Like that was the reaction I was having.
Right.
Oh, there we go. And again, a video. There we go. So that's. Well, it's a number 7 in numerology.
Yes, which is a good number.
Kiana? That's their text pronunciation that comes up.
Really? Okay, Kiana Brown Jackson. I look forward to you being a Supreme Court justice. You understand you have big shoes to fill.
Yeah. Oh, Kitten G.
Okay, Kitten. I'm going with Honorable Miss Jackson for right now.
There you go.
You have big shoes to fill. Very big shoes to fill.
And the most inappropriate thought just went through my head.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, Miss Jackson, but I am for real.
I know.
Sorry.
But again, just big, not only from the POC community, but also from the women's judge community. She's got big shoes to fill. She's got to really come out and make some changes to this court. And it's pivotal. Very pivotal. So let's watch and, keep an eye on that one. Absolutely. Oh, let's move over to Florida Man.
Well, now hold on. I got to read this comment, though.
Okay.
Apparently the video that you shared on Pagan Nexus apparently also goes to Pagan Jesus after it was over.
Oh, okay. That's not what it goes to on my feed, but okay.
And then adding on, like, I appreciate our baristas. I really do.
Uh-huh.
Never meant to make you cry. And no.
Never make your daughter cry. I'll apologize a million times. So I'm hoping that she comes out. She has a good record. I'm very pleased with her astrologically. I think we'll do well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Just hopefully that one goes through quickly.
Yeah.
Or, well, faster than the nightmare slowness that it could.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so the man who grabbed Pelosi's podium during January 6th riot is sentenced to prison. Let's see what he got.
5 minutes and, time served.
Is sentenced to 75 days in prison, followed by 1 year supervised release. Judges ordered him to pay a $5,000 fine and perform 200 hours of community service. He will report to prison at a day to be determined. What is this? Report to prison at a day to be determined. Like, I get we've now stood out and we have extended the time on death row and extended it for appeals and extended it out instead of just taking them straight on out to the tree, handling it there, modern times, modern legal, but report to the day to prison on the day. Give me a break. Into custody he goes.
Well, no, the bigger concern is that effectively in that situation, what they're doing is allowing someone to tie up personal affairs before going into prison. Because there is... Well, but if you don't know what the outcome's going to be, like, he could have walked out, with nothing. Or with, here's your community service hours and blah, blah, blah. In 75 days, he'll probably serve like 60, maybe
30,
if even. Yeah, probably. But for that duration, there's I see that as recognition that we really all ought to have more of. Mm-hmm. That when you are incarcerated, mm-hmm. There are a lot of loose ends that leaves behind. Mm-hmm. In terms of ensuring that when you come out, mm-hmm. That your car hasn't been repossessed, your business isn't, run off without you and no longer in your control, that your, home is not, for sale or sold for back taxes, that your bank accounts aren't drained because someone had access that shouldn't, and on and on and on and on and on. You don't have anywhere near the kind of control you one should have over one's own personal finances when you are incarcerated.
Right.
Which I think one is its own internal or its own systemic problem. Mm-hmm. The fact that the individuals are effectively dropped into a JPay situation, that's your bank.
Right.
That's all you're allowed to use. That's what covers everything. That's what works with everything. That's what's connected to everything. And that's the only connection you legitimately have to finance.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Unless you are multi-million-dollar wealthy, mm-hmm. and you have a financial advisor that's going to come to your prison, or you have the finances to have someone else cut checks for you and continue to pay your lawyer to come visit you to find out your mm-hmm. financial decisions.
Right.
That fundamentally you're stuck in a situation in which the average person, you could easily lose everything. Mm-hmm. The best sometimes some people can hope for, if it's a short-ish sentence, is being able to prepay storage. and just dump your stuff in there, at least the vitally important stuff, like give away the furniture. You're not going to want it. You're not going to want it. Just sell it, give it away, do something else with it. Like, no one needs pots and pans. But, you know, if you can, like, but we have this fundamental problem with we don't have a system that ensures, like, even document integrity for prisoners. That, you know, while you're locked up, like, that driver's license is going to expire.
Right, but
who has a copy of your birth certificate? Right. How do you get a copy of your birth certificate if you don't have a driver's license? How do you get a driver's license if you don't have a birth certificate? Round and round it goes. Your passport's going to expire. Like, all these things are going to happen. And, you know, you don't have a utility in your name. You don't have a bank account in your name. You don't have all these things going on. Right. You become a non-human. Like, where have you been? What, did you just drop on the planet? Like, where's your social security card? Where's your photo ID?
Iteration process. But there are very few cases I see will report to prison when a date to be determined. And normally I'll tell you where it is. It's with white men that have too much money and too much connection.
Well, it's also, I think, a big sign that no one takes it seriously. Yeah. Like, yeah, we're going to punish you, but, like, whatever.
Right.
You know, like, I'm only doing it because I have to. So we're going to make it a cakewalk.
Yeah. But, again, well, you know, more crap out of Florida. When's that water rising? I mean, you know, we've been, you know, do I need to use a little more Aquanet?
No, just let Justice have his way with his reset. And I'm sure we can get you some, you know, West Virginia coastline property in a very short while. What? I'm
happy with that idea, honey. I've been wanting to move to the beach for a while.
Or, you know, as one would typically make the Russia joke of, in Russia, the beach moves to you.
Well, again, I prefer the Pacific over the Atlantic. It's cleaner.
There we go. So Devin 31678 is the reason I haven't got my short-term disability because I technically never got my medical leave approved by corporate.
No, the reason you haven't gotten your short-term disability is nobody's got all the damn paperwork. Looking at this, and it's total bullshit. It's like one department has this paper, one department has this paper, and there's crap sitting on the fax machine.
Welcome to the modern equivalent of how do you, you know, not approve a claim without not approving a claim. Like, you know the claim's going to go through. It's a legitimate claim. But how do you, as a corporation, make that take as long as humanly possible?
Right.
We don't have all your paperwork. We don't have all the stuff. You didn't submit this.
By the way, with 2 sets of 3s coming up here, Devin, I say you will probably get it. I'm going to say it's going to be 3 to 6 weeks. Because followed by that is the judgment card.
Yeah, apparently. Well, apparently it is not the duck. Yeah. There's no Aflac here. So
Aflac is a different company. I actually like the duck.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Aflac's pretty decent. Ooh, that's just cruel. I'm sorry to hear the reason that you're needing to take that short-term disability and the fact that they would fuck around right now. Yeah. Like, literally all the way through the process down to 2 weeks before returning to work, and they still haven't paid on short-term.
Right. And they'll turn around and have to back it up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yay when the check comes in. I mean, you may be writing a lot of checks in exchange for IOUs. I know. It's just kind of, ugh.
Right. All right. So in other news, Todrick Hall is being canceled again on Twitter for being a bad loser of course, American Big Brother, Celebrity Big Brother US. and he makes he makes it all the time. Why he upset the audience and his fellow housemates during his time as Celebrity Brother explained. No, he's not. He's refusing to do after press tours. Get over it.
Oh, seriously? That's his whole, the reason he's being canceled?
Yeah, he's being canceled because he didn't do the press tour.
Well, woo freaking who?
Right.
That?
Uh-huh.
Oh, my God. I'm sorry. I expected it to be more involved. He just, went total, old school on how you win a celebrity competition, which is you are ruthless.
Right.
You tear, it becomes psychological warfare to win.
Right.
You find out everyone's secrets, you stay sober while everyone else gets totally trashed and, admits everything they've ever done wrong and all their, personal problems, and then you turn it back against them and destroy them.
Right.
On air in a massive meltdown.
Right. But, again, this is one of those things. It's like, can you give me a break? Can you give me a break? Because every time this man makes news, every ex-employee he's fired starts twittering, oh, he never paid me. And it's like, yeah, he did. You read a contract, you signed a contract, you took a percentage contract. Percentage contracts are a percentage.
Which, I mean, granted, that's kind of a crappy contract.
Yeah.
But if you sign on for it.
Yeah.
And there's no telling why people sign on for it. People love, because that's also known as a commission contract.
Mm-hmm.
And effectively what that does is that shields those incoming assets.
Mm-hmm.
Or those incoming, that incoming fluid cash.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always a little leery after working in debt collections and meeting the people that really like commission pay.
Right.
Yeah, I'm a little leery.
Yeah.
That's not here's what I'm saying. No one that I've ever met
mm-hmm.
that actively chooses commission-based employment.
Mm-hmm.
I've never met anyone that is in that category that doesn't have some problems.
Right.
Some really screwed up financial situational problems.
Right.
Like back child support and, exes that they're supposed to be paying,
mm-hmm.
Alimony. There's always some screwed up situation that, really excites people for commission-based pay.
Right.
I've never met anyone who doesn't have, at least an ex-wife or a baby mama.
Mm-hmm.
Or, an ex-husband and a baby
right.
daddy. That, you know what I mean? They're always trying to take in more money than they have to give up.
Right.
Always.
Right. And, and he's
I'm not saying commission-based pay is bad.
Exactly. And, yeah, he's second place. That's nice. Mm-hmm. But you don't count the press tours. You don't do bullshit. And he's doing this for the press because he's getting more talk. I mean, hello. What's the, determinational factor here?
Well, and it sounds like a manufactured feud, really.
Right.
He refused to do this, and now we're going to whine about it and draw more attention to it and get even more press than if he'd done the press junket.
Right.
Hi, thanks. Thank you for playing.
Learn to play the press game. Have a good day.
I wouldn't even be surprised if it's not cooked up.
Oh, I think it's very well played. Good play, Chessman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean...
Are we talking about anybody else on Celebrity Big Brother?
Who? What?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah. That's where I'm at with it.
I'm sorry, I don't keep up with, reality or celebrity shows. What are we calling those? because that's not even reality television. Like, you know, it's normally like, let's find 5 washed up, coked out celebrities who are hard up for cash.
Mm-hmm.
Throw in a couple of like current, like relevant humans that are also celebrities. And you know, let's see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah.
Like Gary Busey. Come on, really?
Yeah. Well, it's like today we were talking at dinner, surprisingly, about Saved by the Bell coming back.
I know, right?
I'm like, is everything old new again? I mean, I've seen the 70s clothes in Walmarts. Those are horrible.
Trapper Keepers are back. Flipping Lisa Frank inspired shits everywhere.
Including Happy Planner.
I know, right? Like it's definitely like, it's funny.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. I think it was like back to school, maybe 2 years ago now. I don't think it was this past year because I don't think we really made it out for that. And like, you know what I mean? It's probably at least a couple of years on back to school, since we were really through that one. But I was just standing there like, I swear to God, I'm having a stroke right now. I feel like my childhood has just like flooded my brain because I'm staring at like Trapper Keepers and psychedelic colored everything and just like, whoa. Like, I forgot that the 80s.
My line is, are you smelling burnt toast?
I know, right? But no, it was like the 80s and 90s vibe was just like, woo! And I'm just, whoa. No, I'm a little scared for, like, am I okay? But no, it's where we are. So yeah, I mean, part of me thinks it's kind of cool. Mm-hmm. Part of me is a little annoyed that they, like, took a Trapper Keeper to the level of, like, bullshit that they did, but...
Right.
Like, because the new ones are crap. Like, the old ones were not the best, but they will get you through a school year and beyond.
Well, the old ones are now selling for like $600. Like, do you know the pain I go through as a minimalist at times?
I know, but then realize the life you have to live if you're going to keep everything you ever had or keep one of everything that was available in every decade you've lived in. Well, like, one, you need a lot of storage space. 2, yeah. Well, and some of it is the artwork. I mean, I'm not saying all the artwork was bad. I'm not saying all the artwork was good either.
Right.
But yeah, because I mean, Lisa Frank is an aesthetic.
Right.
And it's an acquired one.
Not my acquired taste.
No. Like, I just remember, like, I remember the 80s and 90s, sadly. And it was a lot then. Mm-hmm. It's sort of like, I don't like strawberry, like, I don't like most things with strawberry. Mm-hmm. Like, I hate hearing that word because my mind jumps to strawberry shortcake and I can still smell it. I think the word strawberry shortcake and I can smell that damn doll. There's something seriously wrong with the chemistry of that damn toy.
All right, I'm gonna let you take Are You the Asshole, and I'll be right back.
All right, so I'm taking the Am I the Asshole? So all right, and so real quick, was what was the Lisa Frank stuff look like an LSD trip? Basically. All right, so am I the asshole for yelling at my parents that their polyamory fucked up my childhood? We'll start with an edit. To all of you who DM me to tell me about how fucking great polyamory is and that you're mad, I gave it a bad name. You have issues if that's what you take away from this post. All right, so the original post follows. I believe it started when I was around 6 years old. My parents often had friends over in the house. I didn't know they were polyamorous, of course. One day I was outside playing, got hurt, and when I ran inside, caught my parents making out with some random guy. They told me they have other adults that they love and it's a completely normal thing. Me being a child just accepted that. They gave up being secretive about their partners. They gave up being secretive and their partners would constantly be around, even joining us on outings. I remember that on my 10th birthday, they invited 3 of their partners, one of whom I'd never seen before. And for the rest of the day, my parents just withdrew from my party and hung out with them. I never saw them doing anything explicit again, but they would kiss their partners, hug them, make flirty comments, something that would be normal between parents, but with many more people. Sometimes I came home from school and my parents were gone and there was some random adult in our house. Some of them seemed surprised that my parents even had a child. I always hated it, but since my parents had told me this was normal, I assume many adults probably did similar things and that it's just an adult thing all kids hate. Later, they had less partners and eventually seemed to stop. Not that I know for sure because I moved out at 17. I didn't think about it anymore. A year ago, I started therapy for other reasons. As usual, the topic of my upbringing came up and it brought back many feelings I wasn't aware of. I realized that although my parents were always good to me, I had never really felt close to any of them and still have a lot of resentment that they made me feel like I had to compete for my parents' attention with random strangers. Oh, this one drags on, guys. A while ago, I visited them and they told me they were going to take part in a documentary about polyamorous families and that the producers would like to include interviews with the children. So they would love if I could agree and tell everyone that polyamory, quote, doesn't mess up kids. All my resentment bubbled up and I said that I cannot agree because I would not be able to say anything positive. My parents looked shocked. I'd never brought this up before and asked why. And I unloaded all that I always felt pushed aside. We barely had any family time without strangers intruding. It turned into an argument and I became loud and yelled that the truth is it did fuck me up and they shouldn't have had a child if their number one priority was fucking the whole world. My mother cried and my father said I should probably leave. So I left and was shaken up for the rest of the week, but also felt regret because I've never made my mom cry before. Later, my father sent a message that was like, we are sorry you feel that way. Can we have a calm discussion about this soon? Even though I tried to, it's like I can't reply. This argument brought something very emotional up in me. Am I the asshole for hurting my parents over this, especially since I've never brought it up before? Oh, okay. So I get why so many people are on the, that's not polyamory.
Mm-hmm.
I get that.
Right.
I mean, and fundamental short version is like, yeah, their polyamory did fuck that child up, but it goes beyond that, like so much more. Like, one, that's polyamory done really wrong. That's parenting done really, really wrong. That's a lot of naive trust in other adults that you don't, I think, know that well to be alone with your kid. And yeah, like that's a lot.
Right.
Yeah. Like, I don't think they're the asshole.
I think they are.
Okay.
For multiple reasons.
Okay.
First off, I think they're asshole for yelling at their parents and not having a calm discussion, explaining their points of views and how they differ from their parents, and checking their reality.
I mean, I'm giving a lot of credit to the fact that, like, this was a spontaneous outburst at being presented with like a night and day version of two realities.
Mm-hmm.
As in, their parents thought this was all great, well, fine and good, and that, you know, like, hi, you are the, you know, poster child for polyamory, doesn't fuck up children.
Right.
Just to turn around and find out in a sudden outburst emotionally that no, their child's very not cool with this. Has never really been cool with this, just had never brought this up. And that in the moment of having it framed that way, that it was a boom reaction.
Right.
I can give credit to the fact that, like, this was a spontaneous emotional outburst.
Mm-hmm.
And that, you know, yeah, if it had been something that they had gotten a little further in therapy with and they had had some more time to really put into words and not been like, hi, we'd like you to go on camera and talk about how great this was, when their internal feelings are like, but no, it wasn't. Yeah.
Yeah, but no.
I think the childhood aspect, though, left a lot to be desired.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
again, you know, we're assuming that, you know, we're going to assume that this one is in their 30s because they write like they're in their 30s, so we'll go for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because of course, you know, they don't take time to fill out their little profile, so we're going to assume they're in their 30s. There's been a lot of time to go and handle that.
There has, but I still kind of turn back to, like, even the poster saying, like, I really hadn't dwelt on it enough to really get to the point of understanding, like, I have complex emotions about this.
Right. Now,
so,
do I think parents come out of here smell like roses?
Oh,
no.
Oh, hell no. Like, there's that's where I go back to is I don't know, everyone's shitty here. Like, I think it sucks that you made your mom cry and that you blew up like that, and like on both sides.
Looking at our loading comments now doesn't want to have a calm discussion about this. Furthermore, I think the parents sucked on multiple reasons. Here's why. One of the first things polyamory teaches you is to run a calendar. Good planner, great Google Calendar. There's some lovely digital calendars out there. Even back then.
Really?
Come on. There have been people running multiple households for at least 500,000 years.
Well, true. Granted. But I guess I'm still... I don't know. Like, I'm seeing lots of different facets of this.
Okay.
That, like, bother me all over the place.
Okay.
Like, on one hand, like, I get it. I can get it that, like, you felt like you were competing with strangers for the attention of your parents, that you were never, like, alone with your parents, that you were put into some screwed up situations. I'm struggling to really move past the how is this any different than, like, your parents separate and, you know, you're jumping back and forth between houses while your parents are finding new partners, and, like, there's step siblings and new step siblings being brought in, and, you know, like, as in being born in these two new relationships, and so now you're in multiple households, and I'm just going, a lot of it would seem to me similar.
Right.
Like, there would be a fair amount of overlap between, like, a divorced household, the divorced multiple household, as in you are transitioning back and forth constantly between multiple households. And, you know, not every parent gets it right the first time. Like, there's a couple of ex-boyfriends that were shitty. There's, you know, there's a remarriage and a divorce and a remarriage and a divorce, and, you know, this rinse, lather, repeat. You know,
and I'm going to say, in my opinion, and in my view of polyamory, parent done wrong then.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, like even then.
Yeah. Okay. Even then, parent done wrong. One, I don't know. Granted, I'm the hinge, so I get, I'm in the middle of bounce between the pinballs, but we have a pretty round system. And if we had a child in the system, the child would probably get around some things. Now, some issues I have is the birthday party everyone's making a deal about. I've been to many children's birthdays. There are two parties at a child's birthday. There is the adult party that is in the kitchen where we belong, and there's the kids' party that is in the yard where they belong,
or the basement.
Or the
if
basement.
If it's raining, we don't send the babies out into the lightning storm like that. No.
Depending on the babies.
Well, hey, that's just wrong. But no, I think every I don't know. 10 years old though is probably about the time that you really start caring about birthdays a little more. So I can understand their frustration. That you have as in it doesn't sound like any part of that birthday was about them. It sounds like there was an adult party, but then the way they're talking about it, it doesn't sound like there was any form of a kids party.
There had to have been if they're at a birthday party and there is children. I mean, because that's the whole point of having a birthday party, so you can send the little children out.
Well, but what I'm saying is, I don't think these parents did that. I think they used the excuse of the child's birthday to have a party, but they didn't really bother bringing over the child's friends.
No, because
I'm getting a strong sense of summer birthday.
Right. They gave up their secrecy with their partners and continued to be around enjoying in outings. I remember my 10th birthday invited 3 partners, one who I'd never seen before, and the rest of the day my parents withdrew from my party.
So Alrighty.
And
so
hung
there
out
was
with
a
them.
party. Well, but that happens to a lot of kids though.
Right.
As in, the parents all congregate. It doesn't really matter if, there's partner swapping situation, polyamory, whatever going on. Typically the parents withdraw, let the kids be kids.
That's normal parenting behavior.
But if you're already filtering through a lens in which you're already jealous of all these other people,
I could see there is jealousy.
Right.
It sounds like it's total jealousy. First of all,
right.
It sounds like it's sour grapes because if my 10-year-old's throwing a fit and having a mental breakdown because I've got guests over, the guests are leaving, and me and the 10-year-old's going to have a conversation.
Yeah,
it doesn't sound like that ever happened here.
Well, right, but then again, there's a lot of kids that just internalize and just this all bubbles up years later that no. I smiled, I nodded, I did the things you asked me to do. It doesn't mean that I was you know what I mean? There's a fair number of people that have that childhood. You smiled, you nodded, you posed for the pictures. Everyone looked like they were having a great life. But then 20 years go by, 10, 15, 20 years go by, and you start talking about it. And it's oh no.
Right.
See, I smiled, I nodded, I played my role that I was told, that was my role. This is what I'm supposed to do. These are the, this is the cast. But that didn't mean I approved or appreciated or liked or cared for or was totally down with it,
Right.
It means I played my role and got the hell out.
Well, again, 10-year-olds don't think that deep, first of all. Second of all, I'm quite sure if they were jealous and wanting attention, they would have gotten attention. Third of all, the parents done wrong by just dropping partners in is the best way I could explain it. There's a big debate in my head whether this was polyamory or swingership.
Does it matter?
Yes, it does.
Why?
Because polyamory is long-term relationships. She should have gotten to know the partners.
Well, and I think that's another part of it too. And I think that's why so many poly people picked up on this and were like, no. No. Like, that's not the thing.
Uh-huh.
But again, I'm kind of also sitting there going, you weren't exposed to anything explicit. Like, I know from my own childhood, like, we had plenty enough strangers around the house. My dad worked construction.
Mm-hmm.
He had employees that just stopped by.
Mm-hmm.
I like you got used to it. Like, you were going to come down for breakfast or get up to pee in the middle of the night, and there's some rando stranger in the house.
Right.
Not alone. I will say, wasn't alone with them.
Mm-hmm.
But like, you never knew. It was like, guess who's coming to dinner? Except, it wasn't quite that organized or nice.
Well, it's the same here. My household has always had an open door policy. It's a guess on who's on the couch, and you figure out what's cooking breakfast the next morning. That comes from mom and dad. Like, we had people come stay for months. Didn't know them from Adam. Oh, okay. And it wasn't never a competing. If anything, and this is the thing I don't get, and it really sounds like these two parents tried to do it all without using the resources.
Or without having quite the resources to do it all.
Right.
As in, like, they're trying to keep the child out of, like, the more explicit part. Right. Of, like, and let's just go ahead and boil it down. Mom and dad are slutty.
Right.
Like, potentially bisexually slutty. I don't know. It doesn't really matter.
Right.
What they did in the bedroom was up to whatever they did in the bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
The reality is the kid was kept out of that. But, like, it also sounds like maybe a larger part of their sluttiness overrode, like, mommy, daddy, parent time.
Right.
And it's like, kind of, if, like, Bonnie and Clyde, but with car seats.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I get how that, but I'm looking at the skew of the article and going, okay, let me drop myself into this. Let me drop our world into that. We have a kid. We have 3+ partners. 2 partners are working. 1 partner is working.
Well, but theoretically not a stranger, though.
That's what I'm saying.
Like that's where this all breaks, and I think it does have a little more of a swinger tint to it.
Yeah, that's a lot more swinger tint.
I mean, granted, polyamory can and often does have more of a, swinger bent to it.
Right.
Depending upon, like, what you're doing. Are you creating, multiple long-term relationships simultaneously?
Mm-hmm.
Or are you in 1, 2, 3, whatever long-term relationships with someone who's also in 1, 2, 3 more long-term relationships, and then what are you doing beyond that?
Right.
Like, there's a lot of different ways to do this, and so on one hand, I can see why use the word polyamorous.
Uh-huh.
I can also see why making the that's not really what that is technical distinction of that's a little more swingery than it's more dogging but bring them home.
Right.
It's more cruising but bring them home.
Right.
And like there's a 10-year-old and like blah blah blah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But I'm saying, and the reason I say that that either A or B occurred, either one, parents weren't actually using full polyamory to their best resources. Or B, there weren't fully polyamorous, and the stranger in the house, there's a surprise there's a stranger in the house. That's a kid thing. But on the other side of that is this thing of, I would probably choose a longer term partner to babysit not some random dude.
Well, and it doesn't even sound like it was babysitting if that person is surprised they even have a kid.
Exactly.
I mean, that's not babysitting. That's, hey, you can crash, do what you need to do, like, whatevs. Like, and then, oh, you forgot to mention you have a 9-year-old.
Exactly.
Like, surprise!
Nice.
As some like 9-year-old child bounds through the front door because they just got off the school bus and rando dude is sitting on the couch.
Yeah, by himself. Like, no parents at home from the way the story sounds.
Yeah, I have issues with that.
That's where I have issues of bad parenting. Not bad, and
Well, I mean, it doesn't mean that they made inherently bad choices. Like, again, like, it doesn't sound like anything untoward happened.
Right.
Like, original poster was not like molested or abused or kidnapped so it's not that the choices were inherently wrong.
Bad.
But I can understand if you're sitting there as a kid and there's some random person in your house that you don't know and you don't know why they're there and no one's giving you a heads up and I could understand like having a moment if that's the situation you repetitively walk into and it's like, what the fuck is going on here?
Right. But here's the other problem, and this is the problem I find with secrecy in general. That's why I don't do it. Is that doesn't sound like there was any child to grown up discussions, other than it's normal. Oh yeah, that's normal.
Well, the original, yeah.
But I'm talking about throughout.
Yeah, I would think that would have to be an ongoing, never-ending bit of discussion.
Yeah.
Because I'm still sitting here thinking that, like, I think all of this could have been okay. If it's like, oh, by the way, our friend Mark's going to be here when you get home today. It's okay. We've known him for a while. Just, Well, and Mark's aware that, hey, our 9-year-old's going to be home from school at 3.
Yeah.
Or 3:30 or whatever.
Right.
Make sure you, like, sweep the poppers and lube off the flippin' coffee table.
Well.
Because, I mean, there was a potential there. This child could have walked in on anything.
Well, true.
If there's an adult who doesn't know what the hell's going on, that there's a kid involved.
Right.
And the kid is just bounding through their front door because you're a kid and it's after school and you got home and that's what you do.
Well, here's the thing. And this is where that conversation, that differencing in conversation should be. Because the way it should have been is, so Aunt Judy's going to be here when you get off from school, and you guys are going to go get ice cream because Mommy and Daddy are working.
Yeah, see, I always hate that. I hate that screwed up aunt-uncle thing, though.
Yeah.
Like, I think, like, because that is such a cliche of, like, parents fucking around, uncle blah, 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 and aunt blah, 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 and, like, that's just such an old cliche for, like, oh, it makes me cringe.
It still works, honey.
I know it still works. I'm just like...
This was a little bit more grown up polyamory, like we see in today's time. So Mama Joan is going to be here to pick you up from school, and you've got to get your homework done. I've already talked to her about that.
Well, yeah, but that's...
But I was setting in the time period that I'm guessing this author's writing from.
Potentially. Like, this could be anywhere from, like, 5 years ago to 20 years ago, and maybe a little more.
Right.
There's no way to really tell, but no matter what time period, it was probably not the best version of it.
Right.
Regardless of what it actually was, if it is polyamory, if it is swinging, if it's just mom and dad are slutty.
Yeah.
However you want to word it. And I'm more up for, like, let's just call it mom and dad were slutty with an overfixation on their sex life and a little neglect for their child.
Yeah, I won't call it neglect.
Little.
I'll say poor communication skills with the child.
Right.
This is where I'm going to lay that at. And I think the poster has bigger questions it should be talking about now. And should have been talking about then. Because if they're poly at 10, what were the poly at -4? What were they poly at -2? were they poly at 1? Are we sure that the birth father and the father are the same father?
Well, that's a whole lot to get into. I'm just saying, I think there were a lot of things that probably need to be better handled there. And I do see it some, like, minorly as neglect. Right. As in, you didn't really check in with this child. You didn't really know what their feelings were. You didn't really know how this was affecting them. You didn't really take time to explain it. You didn't really work very hard to ensure that this was a happy, healthy, safe home environment for this child, where they felt, loved, accepted, appreciated, etc. I'm going low scale neglect. Low scale.
I'm going
like not like
for that, because it doesn't sound like the poster said anything about it. Between 10 and 17. That's 7 years. Okay. Right. Now they're having a problem with it. It's like you suddenly developing a problem over shit over shingles.
Well, true. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, in country families, any family non-sexual in ours were uncle and
uncle if they were close family friends. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I've always been weirded out by that.
Uh-huh.
It's like, don't tell me, don't use words of relation if I'm not actually related to someone, because that just screws up the family tree in my head.
Uh-huh.
I had problems for years for some reason, someone in our family decided to call one of our cousins uncle.
Uh-huh.
And then I'm confused how the hell that worked. Does our family tree circle back on itself? Did someone forget to tell me something? Because now I have a relative that is a cousin. That is stored in my head also as an uncle, and I'm like, that's a little too West Virginia for me, thanks. I need an explanation. Oh, someone just decided that because he was in that uncle-ish age to just kind of randomly say. Yeah. Oh, yeah, not to mention, could you imagine talking to your grandma and saying, Aunt Nancy took me for ice cream? And your grandma being like, who the fuck is Aunt Nancy?
Right.
And that's how people get outed.
Well, it's not how people get outed.
Versus mom's friend Nancy took me for ice cream.
Mm-hmm.
Mom and dad's friend Nancy took me for ice cream. Oh, well, that's really cool. Grandma still thinks, okay, who's Nancy? But it's less like, I didn't birth a child named Nancy. I don't remember the only child that my child married having a sibling.
Yeah, but see, that's the don't do secrets. My grandmother knows him, loves him. My mother calls him to discuss my grandmother. I finally get my mother on the phone this morning after getting her voicemail. Ask me about him.
Yes. I'm sorry. Can't help it.
Yeah. Now, my grandmother loves the invisible assistant. Loves him to death. We'll chat him up. We'll send him pans. We'll send him pizza. Won't even answer my letters. So, that's how honest polyamory should have been handled in this situation. So grandma would have known that Aunt Nancy is Nancy that came over last Friday night for dinner, and she thought she looked a little bit too rambunctious for the situation.
Alrighty. Well, but yeah, I think there's a lot of things going on there. I think I don't inherit well, and I think bigger issue topic probably is, do I think you can have ethical non-monogamy with children and it not fuck them up? Absolutely. Yeah. Do I think it takes work? Absolutely. And I think do what now?
And pens.
And pens. So many pens. He's talking about his planners. And all the different pins for them for like, yeah, it's crazy. Like it really is. But no, I think it can work. I think it can be an okay situation with children without any like negative effects that you can understand. But I think it takes a lot more work than where these parents were at. I don't know if this is like the world was young, this was new, no one knew what we were supposed to do, like, you know, like there's I think an SNL skit where it's like, you know, the kids put together like this string of video clips for their mother, and like she's drinking while pregnant and smoking while pregnant and like all these things. And like everything that like now you'd be like, oh my God, you can't do that. And she just keeps going, we didn't know. We didn't know. We didn't know. You know, like she's so emotional, like, but it's true. Like, we didn't know. Like, mom, like, you know, like mom was never supposed to have been able to have me. Like, this was supposed to be a foregone conclusion. Cannot have more children. I in no way can ever be upset with my mother for what she did while she was pregnant and had no idea whatsoever. That was that was not on her radar at all. I can't be upset about it. She didn't know. Like, yeah, like I'm really flipping confident. My mother in the 80s, knowing that she was pregnant, would have made totally different life choices. Like, no, seriously. Like, these were big, strong concerns.
I'm looking at my mother, who was on the best diet of her life called pregnancy. She actually lost like 27 pounds during her 10-month pregnancy.
If you ever wonder what's wrong with Aeson, he was malnourished in the womb.
Huh?
If you ever wonder what's wrong with Aeson, he was malnourished in the womb.
Well, and I do blame her for eating too much strawberry jam with hot peppers. That is an issue for me.
How?
Oh, I don't know. We'll find out in about 2 months when strawberries start blooming, darling.
Okay. What have I missed?
Oh, I don't know. My birthmark that shows up every May.
Still, I'm just no. Mom seriously didn't know.
Yeah,
and I think that's a legitimate concern we have.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Just because, like, there's stuff we find out later. Like, you know, no one knew that asbestos was so bad. No one knew that, like, Shields Green was, like, the worst thing you could ever have filled a Victorian home, wall to wall, floor to floor, ceiling to ceiling, floor to ceiling with, because of all the lead and the paint. Like, we didn't know these things. We learned these things. We changed the world to adapt to that new knowledge.
Right, and we still survived.
Well, yeah.
Okay,
it doesn't mean it didn't cause harm to kids. It didn't mean it didn't cause harm to people. It didn't mean it didn't, you know, do some damage along the way till we learned what we did wrong. Yeah. And like that these things are bad. These things are harmful. These things are not, you know, good ideas. You know, and you can argue and debate all the science points, you know, on and on and on. I'm just saying, sitting there trying to, you know, much like we were talking about with trying to label someone's identities with a future vocabulary on the past doesn't work. Trying to judge your parents on what we didn't find out till 20 years after you were born on what they did to you 30 years ago.
Right. Well, like, yeah. And Brenda, yes, strawberry jam or strawberry preserves with hot banana peppers de-seeded on toast. It's the only thing my mother ate. in half gallons.
I want to hear it. You still like both. I have a nephew who cannot even stomach the idea of oatmeal. Because God bless the amount of oatmeal that was consumed. Like, I've heard stories. Heard stories about the amount of oatmeal consumed during that pregnancy. That was just like, nope, cannot even stomach oatmeal whatsoever.
Over a block of cream cheese could be yummy. I don't know. I haven't had it yet. I've been trying to find the original strawberry preserve because she only wanted my grandmother's strawberry preserves.
Are you sure it wasn't just hot pepper jelly?
I'm sure it was not just hot pepper jelly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just saying. And yes, that is phenomenal with like cream cheese, like a little cheese platter, like, oh, that stuff is amazing.
Right.
And surprisingly, nowhere near as spicy as one would think.
True.
Yeah. But
anyway. All right, let's move on to, we've had some really hard news this week, guys. Multiple hard news. So Joe's going to take the good news story that's in his private chat.
Alrighty, so 56% of small business owners think remote working has made them better leaders, says poll. So more than half of small business owners agree that working from home during the pandemic has made their experience of leading a team easier and more productive, according to a new poll. A survey of 1,000 small business owners looked at how working remotely has impacted their company, uncovering several silver linings. The results showed that 3 in 5 respondents said they are feeling more empathetic toward their employees and colleagues. The vast majority, 7 in 10, admitted the lockdowns had given them certain business opportunities they wouldn't have had before. Conducted by one poll in partnership with software company Field Effect, the survey also found that most small business owners have improved their relationship with their employees by trusting them more, 63%, and having better communication, 55%. Working from home has also allowed more businesses to see an increase in customers, 46%, versus 25% who have lost customers and sales. So, yeah.
Yeah, and according to Business Weekly, a study finds that working from home not only benefits the employees by eliminating their daily commute, but it increases productivity, leads to a happier lifestyle. It's a win-win situation, relishing for its flexibility, but it also costs but often at the cost of the work-life balance. The employers, however, should be really liking it because they have less overhead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying work from home is easy. Like, it is challenging. Yep. Work from office is also challenging.
And I've debated, whether I would, because I've been looking at going back into the corporate world for some things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still wanting to be a work from homer. Remote workers worked an additional 1.5 more days per month than in-office employees and nearly 17 additional work days a year. Remote employees takes longer breaks on average than office employees, 20 minutes versus 28 minutes respectively, but they work an additional 10 minutes a day. Office workers are unproductive on an average of 37 minutes a day, not including lunches and breaks, whereas remote employees are unproductive for only 27 minutes. 15% of remote workers said their bosses distracted them from work, which is less than the 22% of office-based employees who said the same thing.
Yeah. Well, and I think some of that is still in the adjustment parameters of work from home and the fear that it was going to be a reduction in productivity, that people were going to just kind of slack off and not really work that hard and not do their jobs. And I think also some of it may be retaliation against employers that went a little overboard in trying to track their employees through, mouse tracking and requiring camera use and like that's a lot to not only ask you to work from home, but also ask you to have your camera on and open to, the world of your office, at least, or at least your boss, to have a window inside your home. I'm sorry, like, as I don't have a problem with you invite your boss over for dinner, or that kind of like 50s like trope. I don't have a problem with that. I have a problem with the fact that with so many people working from bedrooms and dining rooms and living rooms, you're not just like having your boss randomly drop by your house for dinner.
Mm-hmm.
You're potentially like, you forget to leave that computer on. You have other people in your house.
Mm-hmm.
This is your home. You have a right,
Uh-huh.
I would think, to not have your whole life instantly visible on a webcam at your boss's leisure.
Right.
I can see a lot of employees having a massive problem with the way these companies are setting that up. And if not the employee themselves having a problem with it, at least the family members.
Well, here's something that came out of this study that's even more interesting.
Mm-hmm.
According to the Global Workplace Analysis study we're quoting, 37% of remote employees would take a 10% pay cut to continue working from home. Because of the increased popularity, some refuse to accept on-site positions, knowing they can find more convenient and flexible gigs elsewhere.
Well, and I think that number you need to also filter through the lens of that's not an invitation to give these to try to hire remote work employees at 10% less.
Mm-hmm.
That is more so if you were hard pressed,
mm-hmm.
would you take a pay cut?
Right.
To keep remote work.
Right.
I don't think anyone should.
Right.
Like, at all. Like, no, your skills are worth what your skills are worth, or what your skills are worth, regardless of where you perform it at.
Right. Now, I find that Forbes is even reporting on this one. And they're saying that according to the controversy, Glare Inc. CFO survey revealed that 74% of companies plan to shift permanently to remote work after the pandemic ends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think this was anything that wasn't going to happen. I think this is more so an acceleration of it.
Mm-hmm.
We've been on this trajectory like for decades.
Right.
Like, if we go all the way back to like the world of tomorrow age, GE called this shit like 70 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
That this was our future. We were going to be working on computers. Granted, their interpretation based on like technology of the time was a little skewed. Mm-hmm. Okay. But if you go back to some of those old, the world of tomorrow, like model homes and what they thought that would look like, mm-hmm. like all of the elements are there. Video calling, granted, we now call it Zoom and Teams and, a million other things. Mm-hmm. So it seems. Like there's tons of different ways to do it. Right. But it envisioned us like functionally working from home.
Yeah, and I have said for ages, and I do mean ages, that mm-hmm. this is the new, that people should, that I don't understand why companies do not do this. I don't understand why companies do not behave this way. I don't understand why companies do not get this. Now they're getting it.
Mm-hmm.
Now we got to wait for builders to get it.
Yeah, that's going to be the harder part. That's going to be a long-term thing I think we're all going to struggle with.
Right.
Because if you look at housing in the US, yes, houses have gotten larger.
Right.
but a lot of the ways that they've gotten larger are not necessarily productive towards this work from home concept.
Right.
Some are. But in general, it's more so about just having more space.
Right.
Not necessarily having more space for work, which are two key different, like there's a big differential there.
Right.
We're not really building for work from home exactly yet, except in like one-off situations. We still have a tiny house movement that isn't quite work for home. Like it is, but it's not.
Right.
In a way. Like it's a different form of work from home.
Right.
It's it's meant to be travel adjacent,
right,
or travel compatible. Not necessarily your standard Monday through Friday 9 to 5, like you're an appointment setter for XYZ doctor office. Technically you could do that anywhere in the world.
Right.
But like trying to deal with time zones and trying to deal with, all of that would make it a little harder. Like if you're, currently on the East Coast and, your employer is on the West Coast and you're doing, appointment setting, that could get a little hairy.
Well, it gets fun.
Well, I mean, definitely.
Right.
Definitely. And vice versa. If they're East Coast based and you're on the West Coast, like, there's all manner of this that could get a little wonky.
Well, and I think the only time that we've had problem calculating that is India to the United States.
That's a little bit harder.
Yeah, that took us a day and a half to figure out the math on that one.
Well, it didn't take us a day and a half to figure out the math on that one. It was more so it took a while to like push it the right direction. It's like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Like it's a little confusing. Like 4 time zones is one thing. You start hitting that 5th, 6th, and 7th, and like depending upon which way you're moving, it gets a little wonkier.
I don't have a problem with the European time zones. The GM ones, I do great.
Well, see, but here's the problem with time zones is trying to remember which edge you're on. Are you like X hours behind? Or are you X hours ahead?
Well, Germany were 7 hours behind. Hawaii were 6 hours in front of. And Japan were 9 hours. No, we're behind by a day.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm talking about. It can be wonky. It can be a little wonky to try to figure out, like, okay, what are we doing? Like, what day is it? And then what time?
Right.
Because, like, yeah, you can figure out the time real quick and easy, but what day is it?
Yeah.
What day is it? Like, that's a whole, like, it's weird to think about.
Right. And it's kind of like...
Oh, yeah, that's what Google's for.
And that's why I tell him not to look at one of the clocks in my office, because it's set for Pacific Keen Time.
Oh, yes, you do like your Pacific time because of them. Which is okay. I just call it SL time. Because it's the same thing with Second Life, is their clock is Pacific Standard Time.
Right.
So, and you kind of get used to that, like, conversion on events, because if you spend time in our game, everything is UTC based time, saves the confusion, except Gaia time, LOL. Except it doesn't always save confusion.
Right.
I mean, it does. Like it's coordinated, it helps, but like we're all confused equally at the same time.
Right.
But it so it does help. Right. But at the same time, it is also a little confusing as well. Right. In like, okay, but what does that mean?
Right.
Like, and that's the thing with Second Life that you have to adjust to really, really quickly, is that you're getting told time based on US Pacific Standard Time.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't lock that in really quick, you're going to miss shit.
Right.
A lot of shit.
Mm-hmm.
And then it gets even weirder because despite the time zone that the game operates in, then you have all these people around the world that are part of this game, or this platform, at least. I struggle to call Second Life a game. That's a whole other topic.
Platform.
But platform that you have people operating on their own local time and have a group of people they know that they, interact with that are all in that same rough time zone. And so you have this weird, you have whole communities that are dead during, our evening hours. But if you show up at 6 a.m., that place is hopping.
Yeah, especially like Australia. I love going to the dances with the Australian boys. And their town's always busy. Like, they've got this down mastered.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right, guys. It has been a great evening. We will be back with you on Tuesday. Be sending positive energy to all of them in Kiev. It has been reported that the president has even took up arms and is in the trenches with his people.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So wash your hands, say a prayer, hug those a little bit closer to you. May your Wi-Fi be strong. May your coffee be great. And may you have a wonderful weekend. Good night.
Good night. Oh, wait, we forgot.
No, we didn't.
Oh, okay. Fine.
You're taking care of that, Vanna. I done my sign-off. You handle that.
All right, so we want to thank Beverly Walker, Mika G, Kathy, Mary Winfield, Brenda Bryant, Ashley Gish, Shannon C, Shannon D, the ever-wonderful Lady Gwendolyn, Charles Shaw, and Dottie the Psychic. If you'd like to learn more about us, the show, or how you too can become one of our wonderful baristas who help support the show through Patreon, please visit pcspnetwork.com.
Good night, y'all.
Let's work. Yo, it's go time, showtime, never backing down time. One shot, yo, make it count, yo. Crunch time, shine time, make this moment my time. Get a grip, yo, ready, set, go. We bring the thunder. Bring the thunder. Let's work. Bring the thunder. Let's go. Bring the thunder. Let's work. Bring the thunder. Let's work. Yeah, it's my time, yo time. Step into the spotlight. Get lit, yo. Let yourself go. Odd time, high time. Gotta go big time. This is it, yo. Never take no flight time. Grind time. Take it to the street time. Turn the roof off. Get loco. Game time, win time. We gon' bring it home time. No regrets now. Let it all go. We bring the thunder.